Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to use one spreadsheet to create forms in several different languages. So our goal with this is to create forms, but say we're sending it home to families, for some school event or something, and we need to have it in English and Spanish and French and whatever languages we need for our school, right? These are going home to the families. This might in some cases be useful for like in class with students. But when we're in class and we have students who need other languages, there's a lot more the teacher can do, and there's a lot more the educational considerations where we don't just want to always give a translation, right? But with families, I usually am going to go more with we need to have it in the language, right? We need to be able to support their access to school information, and we need to get their input, right? Even if it's not in English. So what this is it's a spreadsheet that you set up, and then you run a script, and it creates the forms in the languages that you need. Now right now it does, like I said, it just does one language per form. So you end up with an English form, a Spanish form, a French form, for example. One day I hope to update that so that it can do an English form and then an English and French form and an English and Spanish form, right? So that they do have what I think of as a best practice of giving them the translated but also the English, right? Now, of course, you can always just give them a link to the original English form too for right now. So one of my most popular videos by far was one where I showed you how to make a form. You're working on a form and you have, like I said, you put in like English and Spanish. Or maybe you put in English and Spanish and French, right? That's still good. If you only need like Spanish as your additional language, you probably don't need this spreadsheet that I'm about to show you. What you can see here on the screen right now, that's my original video. You can see it's about 14 minutes there. This is what you can still use if you just need, I've got a lot of Spanish speaking families and I need to have English and Spanish. This way will give you one form that has both, and you don't need to worry about making lots of different forms. But if you're in a school or a district where you need to send out like 10 different languages, making each form and hand translating each form in that case can be too much, way too much. So that's what this spreadsheet is for. I use it basically when I have 3 or more languages. And like I said, if going home to families. This is, you don't want to start with just this, because you have to add everything and then hand translate and copy in and all. So what this spreadsheet does, and it's a little bit complicated, but please feel free to email me, ask me questions, okay? Hopefully this video will be, get most people most of the way to using this. So it looks a little complicated, but don't let that scare you. This is the settings sheet. We have settings and then the languages that you want. It defaults to English being the main language of the form. So we have it set up where in your settings, that's what this right here is, says English. That's going to be the default. And it's going to look for this English tab to find the questions, okay, when it makes the forms. So in the settings tab, the additional languages, column A here, that's where you put the languages that you're going to have tabs for down here. So Spanish, Japanese, Ukrainian. So I've got Spanish, Japanese, Ukrainian. It doesn't necessarily have to be in that order, as long as it's here. And if you need another one, just choose one, right? Okay, Chinese. And then maybe make a copy of this, right? Come here, duplicate, right? And then name it Chinese. And then you'll do the translation that I'll show you in a few minutes to make these questions Chinese. And if you don't need a language, just select a cell, right? If you come here, there's no choose nothing. But if you just choose the cell and then just hit delete, and that will remove it, and then you won't need to worry about it anymore. So now it will ignore this Chinese tab. This will be the title of it. And here, if you want to put in a description in the form, right, the part that goes here, blah, 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 that's what this B3 cell will do. So anything you put there will be put into the form. It's going to show up over here too, okay? C and D here are the languages. And these are just what gets put in over here. So if you need a new language, then you just add it here and it will automatically appear here. So for example, we need Klingon. right? Now when I come over here, Klingon is an option, okay? And here are the language codes. These are the 2-letter language codes that Google Translate uses when it translates. So we need them here just so we know. If you know, some of them like ES for Espanol, for Spanish, you might know just off the top of your head. But if you need to, you can come over here, right? There's the basic instructions are here, and there's a link here to the codes, right? When you go here, you will want to make sure you're at this one where it's the 2-letter. It says set 1 here. It's the 2-letter codes, okay? So just find it if it's in here. You can find it here, just search. But make sure you're looking at this, the 2-letter codes here. We'll use that on the next sheet when we start translating. And the entry types, right now, this is the entries that we can do in a form. Unfortunately, if you need like a Likert scale or something like that, we can't put it in automatically. The script can't do that yet. All right, I'm hoping one day it will be able to, but right now, the title and the description, that's what we talked about. Right? Multiple choice, checkboxes, text, paragraph, and drop down. So those can be, if you need those for your form, you can do that automatically with this script. All right, so let's go look after. So we don't need to change anything here. This won't be changed, but this is used here when we tell it what type of question it is. So we'll set up the English first, right? So we'll have the entry. There is a column header here. You don't need to worry about it. This is our title. This is our description. If you put the description here, then it will be used in the form. If you don't put in anything, then it'll use this here. Okay. But usually I just leave a title and description here and then put in the questions. So let me drag this bigger. So you've got description, checkboxes, text, drop down, and checkboxes again. Here with the checkboxes, you need options. That's what all of this here is. This is all options. Okay. So we put in our, if the description doesn't need any options, this is what the description will be. But the drop down and the checkboxes, we've put in our options. Okay, just in English. Okay, so whatever you need. And if you don't, if you only need 3, that's fine. If you need 7, that's fine. Put in, if you need to add more here, that you should be able to. Okay? But then, after you've set up your English form, then just make a copy, right? And use the Spanish one that's here. Okay? We don't need to change these. Okay? We don't change these. You can see up here, it's reading this from the English sheet. It's reading this from the English sheet. Okay, so it's going to use this Google Translate function here. And that's why we need these 2-letter codes. Because we're telling it, go to English 3, go to the English sheet, cell A3. That's in English. Translate it to Spanish. So that's what it'll do. It'll go look at A3, the script. It'll come to Spanish, it'll come here. And it'll translate it. Okay, so you can see we have the Spanish here. Then the same thing, these are blank. Okay, but for our options, it's the same thing. Google Translate function, go to English C4, which is the same cell in the English sheet. Translate it from English to Spanish. Okay, and what you can do, are you familiar with this little box in the corner there? See how the mouse pointer changes? You can just drag, click and hold and drag for as much as you need. Okay, so if you grab and drag, right, you can see it filled in. Okay, so we're going to delete the ones we don't need, just select them and delete them. But you can see if there was something in the English C column, it translated it. Then if we need another language, we just make a copy of this one. Right, come here, and we've changed it from English to Spanish to English to Japanese. And do the same thing, just fill in, right? At any rate, once you've done all this, you've set up your languages, right? You've used this Google Translate function to get the languages you need. And then, from here, custom scripts, Now, if this is the first time you run this, matter of fact, I'm going to make a copy of this to show you what happens the first time you run this, because it can be a little worrying. So I'm going to make a copy, and it'll give it this warning. This is what you should do when you see this, because I'll share it so that people can view it, but you need to make a copy before you use it, right? So I'm just going to leave it here. This says this is their script in here that's going to go with it. You want that, right? It's good to know. You need to know that there's a script with this. But make a copy. And I'm doing this so I can show you what happens the first time you run this script. Okay? You see it's loading, and you'll see up here it's going to appear in a minute as soon as it finishes loading everything. Come on. And it takes a sec. There it goes. Okay. So now that that's there, that's part of the script that we're going to run, and it puts this up here. So we're going to create forms from Spreadsheet. And it's going to run, you see, and then we need to give this permission. This is what you'll get the first time you run this. Just click OK. Then you need to choose an account, right? That's my account that I'm using here. Okay. Google hasn't verified it. That's correct. This is just a script in a spreadsheet. Google hasn't checked it. Okay. But it's safe. And I'll show you the script in a minute, and I'll explain why it's safe. Click on Advanced. Click on Go to the sheet. Okay. Now, this is what it's, you can read all this. It's saying, hey, be careful. That's good. I appreciate that Google is careful like this, okay? Because there are things that will, try to like take your data or something. And like I said, I'll explain in a minute why this is safe, but it's okay to give this the permission because you're running it. This is a copy you made, right? So you're running it on your account because you want it to make forms. So of course it needs permission, right, to create forms in your account. And then click on Continue. Okay, now it's going to run. In a moment it will pop up that it's finished. Okay, and it'll give you links to the forms that it created. There it goes. Forms created successfully, Maine, English, Spanish, Japanese, Ukrainian. And we've got the links here. If you want to, you can copy those. It is convenient to have them right here, right? You can just go like that and copy. Or you can just go to your drive. So go back to my drive here, and I'm going to click on Recent. And here we go, right? There are the forms, the Ukrainian form, the Japanese, the Spanish, and the English. Okay? And you can open them up, and there you go. You have the form all in Spanish. Now, of course, you need to be careful with collating all the data, because now, as I explained in my earlier video, now you're going to have the data collected into 3 different forms or 4 different forms or however many, and so you'll need to take it and collate it, right? But if you're dealing with 4, 5, 6 languages, that's going to be less work than trying to make yourself by hand 4, 5, 6 different forms, and you're still going to end up having to, right, to collate it anyways. So at any rate, here we go. We've got the forms created, right? The Japanese form, right? So now we can share them with our families. Okay, so let's take a look at that script, because I'm very security conscious, and I want people to be aware of the security, right? Running scripts is not always a good thing. Okay, but go to Extensions and Apps Script, and it'll open up a new tab when it loads here, and you'll see this is the app script interface where you write your scripts. Okay, and you can see there's a thing. I used ChatGPT and Google Gemini to create this. It's what they call vibe coding, because I know enough to code things, but I don't know enough to code things quickly and safely, right? And well, at least that I know is safe. So I use ChatGPT and Google Gemini to help me, and I use them to check each other too, right? When both of them are saying, yes, this is secure, or yes, this is what that does, that you can be pretty sure that it's safe, right? And that it is doing what it says it's supposed to be doing. Okay. Now this form is in the public domain. To the extent that I have any, copyright over it, I'm giving that up because this is for teachers, for schools to use to support their families. This is not one of those things where you use it and then after 50 times you need to pay me money or something. I don't do that. So, and here's directions again, the same as what's over here in the settings page. This information, the same sort of information is in the script itself. So if you need to go in and make any changes, or you want to move stuff around or something, you've got the info here to look at. If you want to prove to people or to yourself, just copy this all out. Go to ChatGPT, go to Gemini, go to whatever LLM you prefer. If you know a professional, ask them, show it to them, and ask them. But all this does is this is the part that opens it up and puts in that menu with the custom scripts thing in the menu. Then this, because we have user input, we're getting rid of anything that might be dangerous. Okay, so we're sanitizing the text just to make sure somebody doesn't try to slip in some JavaScript or some other, something to steal your cookies, right? Of course, it would have to you're the one doing the spreadsheet here. You're the one filling in this content, right? You're the one filling this stuff in. So if you're maliciously trying to steal your own data, that's weird, right? You don't need to. You have the data, right? So at any rate, but just to be safe, it replaces stuff. It makes sure there's nothing dangerous. And then it starts creating the forms, okay? And it does log some stuff if there's a problem. But that's what this does. And you can look at it all here. When you make a copy, it goes with it. The second time you run it, it won't pop up all that authorization stuff. It won't pop up all the scary stuff. Just the first time. And that's fair. I think that's Google being careful, making sure people understand the risks. In this case, with this script, it's okay. All right? Anyhow, that's it. This is, you fill in you fill in anything you might need here for the settings, create the English version, create the other languages that you need, and just use this Google Translate function to automatically go to the English, translate it, and put it in here, right? That makes it super easy. Like when you do this by hand with a form, you actually have to copy and paste from Google Translate back and forth. That's horrible. That takes forever. That's okay if you just need English and Spanish, right? And it's not too long a form. If you have a form with 40 questions and you need 5 languages, use this spreadsheet. It's going to be a lot faster, okay? And if you need something like a Likert scale, it's still going to be easier to use this and then go in later to the form and add the Likert scale question. Just add the question where you need it, then do a little bit of hand translation, right? If you need something that this script can't handle, right? Because this script, this is what it can do right now. Okay? I'm hoping in the future I'll add more to that, but right now that's it. It's still, like I said, if you've got 40 questions in 5 languages and you need 1 or 2 Likert scales, it's going to be faster to use this to generate the forms and then go into each one and do a little bit of, just a little bit of hand translation, right? Anyway, that's it. Like I said, you set these up, then you run the script, and then you just go to your drive. Okay, so you're all set. You can use this sheet. I'll put the link to share it in the description. Seriously, if you have any questions ever, email me. You can find me at chrisbackman.com. My osugisakai@gmail here for this account that I'm sharing this stuff with. And I hope this is helpful.